As I continue on my road trip up the West Coast, I often catch my mind wandering off into thoughts of the past or of the future. I've been really trying to stay in the present moment. However, it's not always easy to do. Do you know what I mean? Do you struggle with this too? One of my favorite authors and teachers, Eckhart Tolle, writes in his book, The Power of Now, the moment you realize you are not present, you are present. Whenever you are able to observe your mind, you are no longer trapped in it. Presence is the key to freedom, so you can only be free now. Later he writes, when you surrender to what is and so become fully present, the past ceases to have any power. The realm of being, which has been obscured by the mind, then opens up. Suddenly, a great stillness arises within you, an unfathomable sense of peace. And within that peace, there is great joy. And within that joy, there is love. And at the innermost core, there is the sacred, the immeasurable, that which cannot be named. On day 3 of my road trip, I woke up early around 4 a.m., packed up the RV, and left Morro Bay on my way to Big Sur. After a few hours of driving, I arrived at my destination to find that the campground I wanted to stay at, which had direct access to the beach, was no longer available. Luckily, it was only 7 a.m., so I hit the road north without a clear destination in mind. Where am I going? I decided to get back in the RV, and I'm traveling to Santa Cruz right now. I'm actually right outside of Santa Cruz. Thought I'd stop, get a little burger. Santa Cruz! What can you do in Santa Cruz? I'm not sure. I know there's surfing. I gotta get out in the water. So, Santa Cruz, here we go. An hour later, I stumbled upon the Monterey Bay Santa Cruz KOA campground, only a half mile from the ocean. So I booked 2 nights in hopes of finding a good surf spot nearby. The next morning, I grabbed my surfboard, jumped on the beach cruiser, and headed to the beach. Hey! Alright guys, I am at the KOA, which is the Santa Cruz Monterey KOA campsite, and I've seen KOAs all across the country when I've traveled, but I always thought that they were like kind of like ghetto campsites or something like that. This place is insane. They have a huge pool, which is filled with a bunch of kids running around. It doesn't even feel like COVID is going on right now. Nobody's wearing masks. Everything's opened up. They have basketball courts. They have this huge blob trampoline where there's like 30 kids jumping around on this blob trampoline. I've never seen anything like it before. Well, they even have a dog wash bath, which I think I'm gonna take Cody. He's gonna be so bummed because he does not like baths. And went surfing, and when I got out there, I had my GoPro, which if you go to some of these local spots, you can get in trouble carrying a GoPro out there. But all these guys wanted to check out my GoPro and talk and hang out, which, I don't know, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool for a surfing spot. This trip has been amazing so far, and who knows when it's gonna end. On day 2 of my stay in Monterey Bay, I texted my friend who was also traveling on the West Coast in his truck and camper to see where he was headed. Come to find out, he was boondocking just 35 minutes away from me in a small town called Davenport, just 15 minutes north of Santa Cruz. If you don't know what boondocking is, it's just a fancy way of saying you are camping without paying for a campsite. We met up the next day, and he brought me to his campsite, which was sitting on a bluff overlooking the ocean. Right out front sat a remnant of an old pier called the Davenport Pier, and you could see 2 large pilings jutting from the water. He took me down a steep cliff trail to the water, and on our descent there was a platform with an old tunnel that went under the cliff. We decided to explore the tunnel. It was filled with graffiti and a small stream of water flowing from an unknown location up ahead. As we walked through the dark tunnel, I had an eerie feeling that something could pop out at any moment, or maybe more water would begin gushing from the end of the cave.
We kept walking, and after about 200 yards in the dark, we came to the end, or so we thought. Up above, there was a small opening, and I could see something that looked like the inside of a big building. I stuck my camera through the hole, and it revealed a big, empty warehouse. It reminded me of the Will Smith movie, I Am Legend, where he's the last living normal human on Earth, or so he thinks. We spent another 20 minutes exploring the cave before exiting and checking out the surrounding area. For the next 2 days, we explored the surrounding area and found waterfalls, ocean caves, and tide pools filled with all kinds of creatures. The great thing was that it was completely free to stay in the dirt parking lot, and we met a handful of other travelers doing the same thing, including a bus full of hippie kids. On day 3, we decided to head north up the coast on Highway 1.
All right, guys, I'm taking off right now from Davenport, which is a little coastal town about 15 minutes outside of Santa Cruz. We've been boondocking here in this spot. You can see the 2 campers right there. We've been here for 2 days, had no issues. We were able to park there, and there were a lot of other cars and a lot of other RVs that were parked there too. So we had a great time here in Davenport, and I got to surf. I got to see this crazy tunnel, and we are headed up to Half Moon Bay, which is about 40 miles away, and I'm gonna check out Mavericks.
I stopped to check out Mavericks, then went to Mendocino for lunch, kept driving to Fort Bragg, where I jumped into freezing cold water for a couple minutes to get the blood flowing, and then drove to check out an area called Glass Beach.
All right, so Ray and I just finished up checking out some glass at Glass Beach in Fort Bragg, California. Really cool spot. It's a place that my mom would really like. She loves making jewelry out of this beach glass. So we had a really good time. Head back to the campsite.
We ended up finding a cool campground just north of Fort Bragg in a small beach town called Westport, where we are currently staying for 4 days at the Casper Westport RV campground. Last night we walked down to the beach during low tide and picked mussels off the side of a large rock and cooked them up for dinner. We added butter and garlic, and they were amazing.
We're going to Oregon! All right, guys, we're going to Oregon today. That's it for this video. Please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.